Alrighty.
Okie dokie. It looks like something's happening here.
Who is going to be number one?
Who is number? Roll the dice.
Welcome, 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 welcome.
Welcome, welcome.
Come one, come all.
Yay!
To Earth.
It's going to be a fun show today.
The greatest show in the universe is happening here.
We're going to make this as easy as possible for people to take a look at. It's not that. It's interesting. I found it interesting. I do that.
We got a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff going on right now.
Lots of stuff. Oh, look, it says we're live.
Here we are.
Here we are.
Yeah.
Oh, looky.
David, congrats.
Hi,
You are
David.
number one. You got the crown.
Hey, you got the crown. Crypto. Great to see you. DJ gets the other crown because he's our first moderator. Rosie Rose, 22. Woo-hoo.
Sin Havoc.
Carolina Dream. Howdy, girl. Good to see you. Awesome.
Oh, wow.
Awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. It's crazy, kids.
Yes, it is. It is. Lenora, hello. Good afternoon. Yeah.
I've actually been looking forward to these times pretty much all my life.
I think that one had volume still up. There we go. Yes.
Yeah, it's
Well, this is what drives us to do this because we know that there's change in there. And we sense it so strongly.
Oh,
you know?
Oh yeah.
And we
absolutely.
base a lot of our practice, on the idea that there's change in the air. I mean, big change too, not just a presidential thing, not just a world leader, not just none of that. No, big change, big, and that's what all of us feel like we need to prepare. Emotionally, spiritually, however you need. This is why. Because of the change that we're looking at. It's curious.
It is. It's the best show in, certainly in our solar system, I believe. Yeah, everybody's watching us right now. They really are watching. They're wondering, when are they all going to wake up? How many are awake?
I know. And hello, Amy. And hello, Pinch Runner. Oh, here from sunny, humid Florida. I'm sorry. It's humid where we're at, too. Doc Dempsey, Susan Donahue, Robbie, Sky Havoc. Great to see you guys. We need to make a song for like our first 10 people.
Yeah, absolutely. There's just so much hitting us from every angle. And I know you guys are ready. Earth as a whole may not be ready as far as, the societies on planet Earth. Recognizing the time that this is, which is a key pivotal moment in history when we shift ages. And you're going to get disclosure in your lifetime. You've already really gotten it. As Sin Havoc was talking about, are you ready? So much is going to be revealed. It's going to blow minds. And what's blowing right now also is the wind, as we have a tornado in progress. This is Gregory, South Dakota. The weather is not stopping. And I can see more and more people are pushing into those that are trying to uphold, the illusion of the system. And that, hey, everything is just natural. There's nothing artificial about this. And then, of course, we also have the other side of it where, we think, we are at a big turning point, geomagnetic excursion at least underway, maybe a complete pole reversal. And so we can put the blame there and say that's really doing all this. But when you look closely, there's so much in our myths, in our legends, in our history, that points to the fact that humans are not the most advanced civilization in our neighborhood.
No, and that kind of, I don't know, when I first figured that out, it just sort of hit me like a ton of bricks, like smack. There's more than just humans here, and they hide that, and they've been hiding it on purpose. That really kind of hit me, and my whole life changed. It changed my whole paradigm, and I think that's what the controllers are afraid of. They're afraid of other people when they hit that knowing. It's like, okay, we are not alone, and we are not the pinnacle of modern society. And how many more societies are we piled up? How many more cities, villages, places am I actually standing on? How many temples, how many homes, how many, different roads am I actually standing on with the dirt under my feet? Knowing that there's been one, a civilization after another, and it's endless. So that really did. It took me back. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is in South Dakota, again, damaging tornado. It's pretty much every single day. Was it always this way? Well, is it just that we have the media now where we can see something that's happening as it happens on the other side of the world? Or is it really, really increasing? Well, how about another 6.5? This we see is Indonesia. Yeah, that's another one. We've had quite a few, good size 6 pluses. Let's see, if we go 30 days, 4.5 plus, you can see it. It's been pretty active. And, we got so much information coming out right now. It just seems like we're on information overload. These are the ones that they're categorizing as significant. Again, we had the 7.3, we had the 7.4, and we have a bunch of 6s. Again, most of this is on the Pacific, the Asian Pacific down to New Zealand, Australia area side of the Ring of Fire. So there's been more activity over there towards the left than we've had over towards the right with the Americas. And we'll see if that balances out. We will see in good time here. First clear images reveal early stage subduction zone off British Columbia, raising earthquake concerns. This was a new study, just came out on the 18th. And this was in Science Advances. The first high-resolution seismic images. So what does it show? Well, it shows that the potential is there. Now, we've known that. We've also known all about, the volcano off past the Juan de Fuca Plate area. They've talked about volcanic activity and that a big, massive eruption is possible, as well as, having that. Let's hope it's not a replay of 1700 with the Great Cascadian Quake, which undoubtedly would also probably trigger the San Andreas, and they both are overdue. But again, we put out our prayers and intentions, positive outcomes.
Always put out for positive outcomes. You just never know. You never want to give up on that. You always realize there's a silver lining out there somewhere, and if you're determined enough, you're going to find it. And one thing I learned, one very powerful lesson I learned moving to the desert, to a place very, very close to Death Valley, California, is the beauty is there. It really, truly is there. Sometimes you have to look a little closer. So there might be certain situations where it doesn't look so good, but over time and looking closer, it shows itself.
Yeah, absolutely. We were in, again, Amargosa, which is nothing. Amargosa is
very sandy.
I don't know.
Literally the dunes.
200 people? I don't even know how many people are there.
I think there was 400.
400? Okay. But I liked it. I did like it. It was peaceful. And we saw all sorts of stuff going to and fro Nellis Air Force Base. We literally saw what we would take to be a portal opening up and ships going over the sky directly overhead and disappearing into what looked like another portal over Nellis. That's just part of...
Like a conveyor belt.
It was like a conveyor belt. It really, really was. And again, Cindy could remote view the occupants of those ships, and there's a lot of different ETs out there, I'll tell you.
They definitely didn't look menacing. I mean, they looked kind of cute, even though they had little squigglies coming out of their faces and like little weird, fleshy kind of whiskers, sort of, little feelers. They were very different looking, but, they were just doing their job.
So the findings published again just 10 days ago confirm that the fault system includes a low-angle plate boundary megathrust. Now, megathrust earthquakes tend to be extremely violent and give you a lot of shaking, a lot of potential there for a lot of damage. So, marking the early stages of subduction initiation. You know, what can we say? All this has been talked about, geez, going back to when I was a kid. And I do remember, and I know Susan Donahue, you must remember the earthquake that happened during the World Series. You know, I wonder if you were there when it hit. But, yeah, I'll never forget that. And yet that's nothing compared to what happened back in 1700 when we were talking a 9.0 or greater. But it's not just the potential for massive quakes. We have at least 5 fatalities. This is over in India. 60 homes are underwater. Intense rainfall again. It's just every day, every single day. And yet you have more, and I do see it, more people screaming about geomodification, weather warfare. And it almost seems like there's less and less meteorologists out there that want to put out the effort to try to debunk it again at this point in time. It's a losing battle, that's for sure.
And it's very unfair. So that's what I see. I see the unfairness running rampant, and the playing field is just nowhere near even. And I know eventually karma does catch up. It really, really does. But believe me, sometimes I get frustrated too, waiting for karma to catch up. It'll get there. We will have balance. We will have, you know, a certain equality where no one is left behind and people are not forgotten about or thrown away or dismissed or trampled on. You know, someday, I mean, some of the best people I know, just some bad things happen to them, and they're the last ones who should have anything bad coming. I mean, they're beautiful people. And most people are like that, but bad things still happen because of the way this world is. So, I'm anxious for everything to even out.
Yes, absolutely. And if it isn't flood, it's fire. This is over in Turkey. 1,700 people evacuated with wildfires sweeping through Bursa province. You know, it is summer. It is that time of year. And we have a lot of these wildfires that pop up out of nowhere. And it, again, is the case where maybe some are natural. But there's been a ton of cases of arson where people have been caught, literally caught, starting these all over, all different countries. You know, there is this chaotic component to the world. There is a group that operates in the shadows that feeds off the chaos. And, you know, that's part of what we and so many other people want to really focus on, is exposing that group, because they're fire starters, literally, often, that are starting the fire between all of us. We need to get past our differences, come together and recognize we could have a much better world if we just had new systems in place. And how about a system that has no central authority? Do you know, when you look to the Indus Valley, and we go look at some of the most ancient cities that we've dug up, we'll see in the Indus Valley area that there were cities in which they had no central authority. They had no kings, no queens. They had no dictator. How in the world did it function? It was probably a hell of a lot more peaceful than here. Mm-hmm. At this, during the Kali Yuga and where we are now, because we are basically in a transition period.
I see that too. I see us in a transition where people are changing. I see it emotionally in people. A lot of it is emotionally, and they might not even be, as awakened as you guys. They might be just our brother, sister, mother, or, friend. But you can spot it when you've gone through an awakening. You can spot it when it's happening inside of others. And I'm seeing it more and more.
Yeah, absolutely. Over in Sardinia, Italy, rapidly spreading wildfire trapped beachgoers. Destroyed dozens of videos. I mean, this is just crazy. Again, a prayer to everybody out there, because you just never know at any time. There's been so many random, crazy, chaotic acts of just random violence that make no sense. It is like people are being triggered. It's like people are being possessed at times, or kind of losing their minds. But then yet we do also see the opposite too. We see more random acts of kindness if you look. And again, the news doesn't cover that.
No, the news doesn't cover the the kindness, that because they're after people's energy. They really want people's energy to kind of get sucked in and control, because we are like little batteries, and if we're sitting at the edge of our seats and chewing our nails and really, really nervous, that's food. That's food for these energies. And once you learn how to do that, Buddhist detachment goes a long way. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when you see these beautiful beaches and then these wildfires that send everybody running, it's just so sad. And again, all the animals that are caught in between. Yeah, it's a very, very sad situation. And yet another small plane crash. This is another in Florida. Single engine plane just turned Lake Worth Beach into an action movie scene, slamming into a vehicle with 5 people inside. 7 injuries. Oh, it's just, what is going on with all the plane crashes and incidents? Mm-hmm. There was, another jet, I think we talked about it. There's been so many. Had to make an emergency landing, and the wheels caught fire, and people had to jump off and emergency evacuate that. Just yesterday. This is like every day too.
Mm-hmm. It is, and that's really horrible. You got to wonder, when life after the next. After the next, what do we say?
Mark says it's like a ripe zit ready to pop.
Oh, brutal. Then there's that. I love it, though. That's a pretty good analogy, Mark.
Okay.
Very good.
Now, this is really kind of dominating. It's dominating a lot of people's minds. I see more people than ever that are starting to slowly not joke about an alien invasion. And we see this from the Daily Mail. They can be sensationalists, but they also do cover things in pretty good depth. Scientists give chilling update on the mysterious interstellar object racing through our solar system, as they warn it's even bigger than we thought. Again, 31 Atlas or 3I Atlas. And this measures roughly 7 miles in diameter. It's bigger than Mount Everest. And then, of course, we have Avi Loeb, which we've talked about numerous times. Again, he is a theoretical physicist and a cosmologist. He's from Harvard, Ivy League. He has come out and said could be an alien spacecraft. He also said that about Oumuamua. And I saw Jesse, if you guys know Jesse on Fire, he covers a lot of MMA, but, at times he'll go into a lot of political. And today, it was just so comical because he opened up with the fact that, if we make it to the holidays, we might be lucky because it looks like there's supposed to be an alien invasion in November. Yeah, UFO disclosure. Alien mothership to attack Earth in November 2025. Again, we're talking about, there's been several of these objects. They either want to categorize them as asteroids, comets. They've even categorized them as a second moon. Do you remember that? Oh, by the way, there's a second moon coming. It's going to stay here 6 weeks, and then it's taken off again.
Yeah, and then there's that. So, this feels really, really interesting, because what I get when I try to look at it is a hard stop. It's like I get this big, huge, cold metal wall at the moment, and then darkness on both sides of that. So I don't know. It feels like it's been deliberately shielded by someone or something.
And you know what? Jesse brings up the 3-body problem. Yeah, okay, there you go. So 3-body problem. Just think about all the timing on all these movies. Three Body Problem was great. I mean, we only got one season of that. Oh yeah, Deep Impact. I remember that, Robbie. That was good too. Same summer that Armageddon came out. Yep, they both came out. I remember that very clearly, 1998. That was the year my son was born. Yeah, absolutely. Um, they're getting us ready. And yes, we've addressed the whole thought that there's Project Bluebeam, and again, there's a fake alien invasion because of the deathbed confession of a former NAZI that ended up running NASA. He did. Again, came from Germany, World War II, working for you-know-who, and then became the head of NASA, and then on his deathbed said, oh, by the way, they're going to fake an alien invasion. It's part of their plan, along with asteroid impacts. Do we trust NASA ever? And when are we going to trust somebody that really worked for, Adolf in NAZI Germany and then works for NASA? I mean, and we don't even have his word on it. It was somebody that was supposedly with him as a deathbed confession. It makes a nice, a nice little centerpiece for those people that don't want to think that there's any extraterrestrials out there.
It does, and it's, to me, I look at it more emotionally in the sense that sometimes people simply cannot cross that line. They just can't. They're
can't
not
do it.
emotionally capable of going across that veil, because their lives will be quite literally destroyed if they allow themselves to know the truth. So I do hold a lot of compassion for people that are not able to, because I've been there. I know what that's like.
I agree totally, and I think part of the reason why I like to bring up all the different pieces of evidence coming from all over the world, different cultures, similar stories, is because those are the people that really will be jumping off of bridges and off of roofs because they won't be able to handle it. So if they get exposed to it and kind of, at least on some level, understand, maybe it won't be so hard for them when they actually are really confronted with the reality that, hey, there's extraterrestrials, and they're very well, we believe that there definitely are very advanced civilizations living inside the Earth itself. Again, I just think it's dangerous to some people when their belief system is such that they can't handle that type of change.
Yeah, I mean, I do think it's better if they're at least exposed to it for a minute, so that in that moment when truth comes knocking and falling down from the sky, they will have a reference to look back on. And I think that could definitely save a lot of people from going crazy in their minds.
Yeah, I think they will go crazy, if not necessarily people that have understood the ET thing maybe all their lives. I think some people understand it innately. It's something that you've brought with you from your past life, because we do tend to live a lot of lives. Again, it's even in the Bible. You must be born again, and again, and again. And where, it's also pointed out that according to the Bible, they thought that John the Baptist and Yeshua were, basically Enoch and Elijah coming back. So that would be, again, another point for that. But that's off on a different tangent. But anyway, just listening to Jesse made me smile because, yeah, it's a good point. Three-body problem. Aliens come and they take over everything. They just completely take over our technology. Have you guys noticed any technological glitches lately? Has anybody out there noticed any slow tech, any glitches, things not working as they should? Please do share.
And I did have a vision like that where all of a sudden our tablets, our phones, all of our computer equipment, it is, there's messages sent on it. So that was, if you have not seen Three Body Problem, that should be like required watching. It really should. I think there was so much in there that would prepare people and give people a perspective of, oh my gosh, what would this really look like?
And here we have from First Post, Interstellar Invader. Is Earth really in danger from alien spacecraft? This was from 2 days ago. Yeah, it's a buzz. We are really there. And then again, we have Dr. Avi Loeb. Does he have an agenda? He very well may. Obviously, if he's from Harvard and he's at this level, yeah, I'm sure he is part of the system. So why do they want us to think that there's negative ETs coming? Mm-hmm. But as we've said, the ET invasion happened thousands of years ago, guys. Thousands of years ago. All our lives, we've been underneath an extraterrestrial system, which then when you look at it and think of all the things that if you truly were a human, you wouldn't do, right? Like if you were a human living on Earth with no other alternatives, you wouldn't poison the water to the degree that's poisoned, or the food, or the air. It's not logical. Now, if you're not from here and you're just using it as a resource, then maybe it becomes a little more understandable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And hold on just a second. It was Xenomorphet. Darn it, I forgot what you said, but I was gonna repeat that. I'm sorry. Oh, she says someone online was saying that they're gonna have some kind of fake alien arrival that's to happen in November. Yeah, it's probably leaking out, and that's what people are saying. So this is pretty big. It's being covered in several different places, and I look at it like this and I think, well, we know the controllers, they're not here to play nice, they're not here to play fair. Would they ever set something up like this and just watch to see what we do like bugs?
Yeah, absolutely. So right here, and this probably will echo, I'll see if any of this comes across okay.
I was a co-author on a paper with Adam Hibbert and Adam Crowell, where we said the orbit, the trajectory of this object appears to be quite remarkable. It arrives within 5 degrees of the orbital plane of the Earth around the Sun. And the chance of that happening randomly is 0.2%.
What did he just tell you?
Huh.
It's not, it's not an asteroid. 0.2%. Yeah, not very likely.
No, not very likely. So, yeah, what do we do with this? I don't know. I think a lot of people are going to have their moments where they feel like they have to get right with themselves, and even if this story dissipates in a week and they say, "Oh, we're sorry, it was not what it was," still a lot of people are going to start asking themselves questions, important questions.
And yeah, Elena, I do think time is different. It feels way more pliable. Obviously, the sun doesn't seem the same. Nothing seems the same as it did, say 40 years ago, 30, 40 years ago. It's totally different. When we look to all the movies coming out, this is Alien Earth. And this is a trailer. This is a person who is the first person to have their soul, basically, their consciousness, and the entirety of them put into what they call a synthetic body. Again, some sort of android, cyborg type thing. And, for a fact, the reason why they would want to get people to do that is to trap, the energy of a human soul, which is very powerful and gives off a lot of energy. And if you were in a body that couldn't die like that, and yet they could control you, then that's the perfect situation for the control system.
And I've had a couple of visions where the external body, the guides showed me that the internal soul was not able to control the external body. It was extremely disturbing, and I don't talk about that because I don't like to frighten people, but I had to. That happened to me twice. I didn't like it, and I often wonder, because it didn't come with any more context than the whole feeling throughout my whole body. And well, just the feeling, like I said, that's the only context I have. I don't have any explaining or anything around that. So, but I do believe they have equipment, lasers, whatever, scalar waves to control people's movement, moods, and, just everything about them.
And by the way, what we've gotten now, when you look at the whole Alien series in Alien vs. Predator together, what it is they're sending these other life forms to Earth to basically exterminate life here on Earth. And yeah, that's something that's going to sit in people's subconscious. And that's just part of what these movies do, is they play mind games with your subconscious.
Mm-hmm. They don't mind one bit, and it's been going on for a very long time, when we got to wonder, where are we at? I think I'm really going to sit, and this is going to kind of have me thinking and wondering about my reality and what's going on around us and what other people are going through.
And we have most of Richard L. Thompson's books. I would strongly recommend them to anybody that wanted to be introduced to the Vedic universe, because the Vedic universe is a universe in which we have quantum physics, we have all sorts of extraterrestrial beings, we have interdimensional beings, we understand the holographic and fractal nature of the universe. It's all in there. And also, it's just fascinating because there's no real mystery when it comes to, aliens and, alien identities. This was a great book. So is this, The Mysteries of the Sacred Universe, or The World as Virtual Reality. Again, this is a really prolific author. Anybody, if you are interested in delving deep, because, man, there are some fascinating stories, again, in not just the Vedas themselves, the Puranas, the Upanishads, and others like the Ramayana, the Mahabharata. You have these Vimanas, these flying machines, and literally flying cities that are spoken of coming to Earth and landing, and the gods, these beings, and really, again, just technologically advanced beings that are able to do things that look like magic to us, landing. And when we're in a golden age or a silver age, the beings we encounter are benevolent, and they tend to teach us and take us under their wings, so to speak. It was only towards the end of the Bronze Age when the dark system came in and started to take over. And, again, there was wars of these gods out there that were described in detail, and it's pretty fascinating. This is from academia.edu. Again, the war Vimanas described in a few of our ancient texts. Vimanas, flying ships. It's literally what they are. But there were wars going on with these beings, wars that humans were witness to. And we saw them blowing things up. We saw what really looked like, again, it would just make us think that we're hearing retelling of atomic, type of weapons going off. But, what else is going to look like, 40,000 suns being exploded?
Yeah, they have those things in the Bible that explain, what something looks like or what something sounds like, and 1,000 horses or 1,000 suns, and if you sit and you think about it, well, that's a BOMB. But it takes a minute, because you can look right at something and read it, and it won't even dawn on you until somebody points it out. That's kind of how I was. I could read about Ezekiel's wheel and read all the words, but until somebody said, did you ever notice this and that? And if you put those two together, you have this really weird technology. And then it dawned on me. And in the second I got it the first time, I just didn't let go.
So when we're in the Kali Yuga, we are under the power of this dark matrix, and we don't really understand what's really going on. When we're in a Bronze Age, well, the Bronze Age, I don't want to be depressing or anything, but a Bronze Age opens the door for bigger conflicts, much, much, much bigger conflicts. In fact, when we look to the stories talking about the last Bronze Age, here you have this ancient texts that describe many of these Vimanas used during the ancient wars. It's astonishing to think about the technological advancements during that period. In the Bhagavata Purana, we can find description of the Sabha Vimana. Maya, the popular architect amongst the Devas. Now, the Devas are the good guys. The Devas are those that are all about upholding the creation and original intention of creation by the creator of this universe and the natural order, the natural world. When you look to, let's look to the Nordic mythology. What we're familiar with there is the older race of gods are all associated with nature. They're replaced by very, 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 I guess you could say, human type of gods that are all about themselves for the most part. And so the natural gods, the nature gods, and what many historians, philosophers, and the like will try to give you is they're basically personifying forces of nature, and that's what they try to sell us. But really what this was extraterrestrials, and sometimes also we could call them ultra-terrestrials. Inner Earth beings were in this as well. There were those that were our friends, guides, and teachers. When you're looking at some of the star forts, we were talking about star forts yesterday's live. Who built the star forts? Well, we did, but they told us how, and they used equipment to build them with us. These were the benevolent ETs, the benevolent ultra-terrestrials. Again, the ones that we would call the Devas. Now the system, because the system is back assward, the system has taken that root, DEV, and turned the Devas into devils. That's what the system does. It turns everything upside down, inside out. Because, again, from the standpoint of the system, which, again, is the ones that came here, invaded us, and took over, well, they were the ones that were helping humans resist the takeover. So they were the bad guys to the system. But in reality, they were ones that didn't want to treat us like slaves. No, they treated us like younger brothers and sisters. Yeah, that's the reality of it.
Yeah, there's just so much there to be uncovered still, and we're gonna have to wait and see. But I think this is a pretty big story. I'm pretty sure we're gonna touch on it more than once. A lot of people are touching on it. It does have me curious, the cold, steely feeling I get when I go to look and see what's inside. I don't like that. It's like somebody really has cast a very cold, icy shell over it to keep someone from going in, because it's almost like if I want to go in, I get hit with an even harder force. I don't know. It's just something's up with that, the way they've made it so I can't see it.
So you have aircraft described as powerful metallic flying palaces. And then you have the Asuras. Now the Asuras, those are the demonic ones. Those are the ones that are in service to themselves. It's written that when the Asuras came to Earth, they took over cities. They conquered them. They had palaces built to them. They installed themselves as king gods. And when they left their human counterparts, and often their half-breed humans, in charge. And this is how we have all those stories of the Nephilim. You find more detail in Plato than you do in the Bible, but you find way more detail here. Because, again, they give various descriptions of these different aircraft. Again, even, descriptions including, this one's 12 cubic feet, has 4 wheels. There's specialty ones. There's all different types of Vimanas for different purposes. And some, literally, we are told, are made of plasma. Now, the plasma ones are benevolent beings, because those are 5D beings. Those are light beings. Those are like the true, again, Galactic Federation. And thank you, Susan Donahue.
Thank you, Susan Donahue. I was just about to mention you again, you guys. It really, really helps us a lot when you do that. Thank you so much. And I also want to say another thank you to the last people were Midwest Mama, Susan Donahue, Feel Free, and Greg. They have really been helping us out. And Susan Donahue, the ding is going to be for you, but everybody in the room is going to benefit from it. So start working on your manifesting.
Absolutely. We have so many good friends in the San Francisco area too. So we're always concerned, make sure everybody's going to be okay through these crazy times. And even if you're in the middle of a 9.0, if you can keep your frequency high enough, you'll see that there are miracles, and angels do guard us, because just as real as the asuras and them being demonic type of beings that are in service to themselves, so truly the angelic realm. Absolutely. So, again, it's fascinating. If you haven't gone down this wormhole before, there's so much to dig into with the Vimanas. And, it's just wild, too, when you have in these Hindu texts, some of the passages blow my mind, because it'll be like, well, this fiery chariot came from the sky, came on down, and 2 very unusual beings, that were not humans, came over and basically said, hello, Earthlings. I mean, this is in texts that are thousands of years old. And if you were ever wondering about what was really going on with Ezekiel's wheels, it's spoken of so clearly here in, again, the Sanskrit epics.
So these, kind of fill in the blanks. If you ever want to know anything that's just outside that one book, look no further than here. You're going to find all the stories and everything in between.
And we even have leftover facts that we can see from space in satellite view that bear out the legitimacy of some of these stories. And to the left here, you see the guy in blue. That's Rama, and Rama is again taken to be an incarnation of Vishnu. And then you got a guy that's got a tail. He's a monkey man. Yeah, it's Hanuman, who is more like a Bigfoot, with his army of big feet, building a bridge to get across from the continent, the Indian continent, subcontinent, over to Lanka, today's Sri Lanka. They built a bridge of these floating stones. Well, you think about volcanic rock, it's pretty light. And, they built the bridge so they could get their army over there to rescue Sita, who was kidnapped by the Asura Ravenna, who again is described as having a very, very warlike ship that goes flying around. And, these are in, when were these written? When we're talking the Ramayana, a lot of scholars think we're talking 7,000 years ago, that these stories, have been handed down for 7,000 years. I think it might be that. It could even be older than that. Again, that's from more like the Middle Bronze, I would say, to earlier Bronze Age. It was when the Asuras were starting to come in. The Anunnaki, or again, Anunnaki is a big term. Again, it's the ones that are part of the dark system. Again, we might call them reptilian, but there's a lot of different characters in this, and there's many different types of ETs, as well as interdimensional beings. But here we see again, this is talked about in the stories, and you could actually see that it looks like there was a bridge there. and it was renamed Adam's Bridge, like, Adam and Eve. Again, they kind of biblify the story, taking from the original story where it's called Ram's Bridge for Rama, because he was going to rescue his woman who was kidnapped by this demonic being. And they rename it Adam's Bridge. So, again, that's exactly what they do. It's just what they do. So, when you look at this, too, and you look at some of these stories, Ravana, yes, we could definitely take him as a demonic entity. He was a nasty being. Again, self-centered, egotistical, no problem with death and warfare. And the other thing that is very interesting is like the time frame, ruling for hundreds, if not thousands of years. Doesn't that remind you of the Sumerian kings list here again? But here there's no mystery. How could he rule for hundreds, if not thousands of years? Because he lives that long. He lives very long because he's not Homo sapiens. Now here it's clearly stated. And this is why, again, when we look to, if we're only looking at the Abrahamic tradition, and even if we're only looking at the Sumerian tales, we're missing out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have to take a good look around. There's so many different things to look at and to learn from. So many different things that can really enrich our souls to such a high degree too. Things to get you asking questions. This is one very important ride when we're here on Earth and we are in a body. It's not just about us. It's about our ancestors. It's about our friends. It's about our loved ones. They live precariously through us when they're no longer here. So believe me, we have so many guides and angels rooting for us, and things are not as they seem.
Yeah. And, I see Tom says, going to be one heck of a show this fall. I do agree. I think the fall is key. Because I do think if we get to January 1st and we're all ringing in the new year, and there wasn't the beginning of WW3, like on a big scale, where either Europe on the whole, the EU, is fighting Russia, or we're fighting China or Russia or something like that. If that doesn't happen, if they don't unleash another plague, and if we didn't even get like any serious economic downturn, I really think that all bets are off, and the system has failed miserably, and that's what we want to see.
And I think so too, Robbie. You have a particularly strong connection with your ancestors. That's what I feel with your energy. And when you say that, I think you're saying that because you feel other people too. So I think they're very connected. Yes.
And Susan was talking about trumpeter Chuck Mangione. I remember him. He died on my dad's birthday, July 22nd. September 22nd. Yeah, when you look again, you could see the codes. Let me just say that, the dark matrix system that we have is what gave us the Abrahamic tradition that we grew up with. When you look to, like the second creation in Genesis and stuff, you'll see there were things there that were more in line with, again, what we had if in the Vedas and Ramayana, Mahabharata, and some other traditions. They've reworked things, and they've always reworked things. Very much George Orwell, 1984, recycling the news, and again, stealing things. They have stolen titles. When you look to, one of the words used in the Bible for God is El, and then the plural is Elohim. But when you feel the energy of El, it's a natural energy. Oh, and when we talk about the battles of the Vimanas, and we talk about the wars between the Asuras and the Devas, we also find a word that's interesting, Danu. And Danu is something that we see in India, but we also see it up in Ireland and the tribe of beings that were very, very Nordic alien, looking, with the Tuatha De Danann, that had, when they came to Ireland, their ships blocked the sun out in the sky. That means that their ships were in the sky. They weren't on the ocean. That's a big clue. And again, this is like Susan was saying, when we look to the real history, it is very much kind of like, Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones. I mean, it's Star Wars at the same time. Oh man, yeah, it's far more interesting, exciting than we've ever been led to believe. This was Al Gore and John Kerry talking about the polar ice caps will be gone by 2014.
There is a 75% chance that the entire North Polar ice cap during some of the summer months could be completely ice-free within the next 5 to 7 years.
Yeah, how did that work out for you? I mean, their noses are growing. We don't buy any of it.
Yeah, and then there's us. And then there's us, me and any community I am part of. Yeah, I kind of stick out a little bit different, but I do my best to just help everybody blend in with me.
Tom says, War of the Worlds, 2025. Yeah, those little dogs. You remember in the War of the Worlds,
Yeah,
the little
dogs.
robot dogs? We see those everywhere, and that's very disconcerting.
Yeah.
But it is, again, it's priming us, and then we see it in person, and that could be very, very shocking. This isn't shocking. This is cuteness overload.
No, I mean, this is where we learn to be humane, from watching our little four-legged angelic creatures and watching to see, how they play, and they're quite nice, and they reflect who you are, and that's why we just, I think when I asked for an angel, what happened is God sent me a bunch of really beautiful paws that turned out to be huge, really huge. So I have 210 pounds worth of angel follow me around everywhere.
I just want to bring it up because I saw Sin Havoc was talking about the two guys who took a trip to Antarctica. When you look at the map, why does Antarctica look like that? Again, they tell us, well, it's just the Mercator, the way it's projected. And, they blame it all the way back on a cartographer from like 450 years ago. Oh, it's just the way we do things right now, because you got to take a round globe and you got to flatten it out. I think there's more truth to this than's being led on. I think, again, there's a lot more land beyond Antarctica than the land that we know of.
I wanted to bring up Baba Vanga because she kind of mentioned about some things visiting us. They said she didn't refer to the aliens directly, but she did say some things like a connection with beings from other dimensions. She did say that. Contact with extraterrestrial intelligence, helping humanity avoid destruction, but she didn't say directly that we would have alien mothership, but she made so many references to humans having a big shift during this time.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, as Susan was saying, what we take as the Lord's Prayer was lifted from an Egyptian prayer to Osiris. And you could see, again, Aset, Isis, with Horus, and it's the same thing. They've recycled so many of these stories time and time again, and there's some things that they'll tell you they have no answer for. It's just a divine mystery. Again, Jesus, I and the Father are one, but that's just basic Hinduism 101. That's the Sanatana Dharma. Source is in you, and yes, you are a fractal of Source. So it's not a big mystery in that sense. No, they've just made it a mystery because they've rewritten it in a new way that suits them and suits their ability to maintain a central authority, which at times was an authority that if you went against, you might have been boiled in oil, or put on a funeral pyre.
Yeah, I mean, they had some pretty rough things that they would do to people. And I want to leave on a happy note. I want people's minds in a good place. And I saw this thing, and it says here, it has a picture of Shaggy. We all know Shaggy growing up in Scooby-Doo. It says here, growing up is realizing that Shaggy was I better not say it.
Stoner?
Yes, he was a weed smoker hippie that talked to a dog and ate all the time because of the munchies. That's growing up. We all know who Shaggy is now. And I don't know about you guys. When I was little, I had no clue. I honestly just read this today and thinking back, yeah, that's right. He was talking to a dog and he was always eating. And, I don't know. But anyhow, we are going to do a couple of dings, you guys. So I want your minds to be in a happy place. It's a good time to manifest. Let's think of this world as better. Let's just try to do better. Oops. All right, here we go. All right, you guys, thanks for coming in. Thanks for joining us. Source bless and namaste.
Much love. Source bless and namaste.